Good afternoon, folks. Today I'd like to talk to you a little bit about the budget. You know, many of the council members are so proud of the fact that they have balanced the budget. And yes, that is an accomplishment. Let's give credit where credit's due. But what they fail to tell you is, and what I have said many times, they've balanced the budget, but at what cost? So I like to explain what I mean when I say that, at what cost. An example, and a very costly one I might add, is when they say they've balanced the budget, do you as a citizen realize that they have cut 19 jobs right from the books of the Killeen Police Department? As if they were never there. That's one way of getting something balanced, by cutting it and doing away with it. But that's not an efficient or effective way of doing it, because we're cutting jobs that are needed to protect the citizens of Killeen, to protect the other officers of Killeen, to protect that quality of life that everyone's talking about. Unfortunately, we have a mix-up or a misunderstanding of what quality of life means from one candidate or council member to another. To me, quality of life is knowing that your life is safe within the city that you reside. You know, to me, my number one job when I'm elected as city council is to ensure your safety. That's one of the things that we need to make sure that we owe it to you. That's what your tax dollars are going towards, your safety. And then, of course, there's a multitude of other things that fall into that quality of life as well. But that should be the first and foremost on everyone's mind. So back to the budget. When we talk about the budget, we cannot talk about balancing it without talking about the things that they cut in order to balance it. So the first, which I think is a big one, is 19 jobs that they cut from the books of the Killeen Police Department. And speaking with several officers and with the police chief, the biggest thing that he talked about is retention. So right now, they have 19 jobs that were cut from the books. They still have 20 jobs that they need to fill. And you've had 3 officers resign over the last month. Now we realize that officers coming and going is the part of day-to-day business, whether that's being fired, whether they decide to retire, or they decide to resign. Now, certainly we don't want our police officers resigning. More importantly, and especially, we don't want veteran officers resigning. That's something that we need to keep. Their experience is invaluable. They've already learned their craft. They've learned their job. Now they can impart that knowledge and their wisdom to the younger officers as they're coming up the ranks. So we want to make sure that we don't lose those jobs and those men. So another aspect that they, in looking at the budget, was the fact that they cut money for the streets. And one of the questions that was posed to us from the Killeen Daily Herald, in looking at the trans map, there was $1.2 million that was earmarked or allocated as what was needed to repair roads in the Killeen area. Well, the city only allotted $300,000. That is a far cry from $1.2 million. But yet, that's all they allotted. And you're going to hear me say this over and over, and I am going to wear it out. But yet they had money to go and spend it on a hike and bike. That's their quality of life. That's not quality of life to me. When I feel, especially in speaking to so many residents here in Killeen, that there's only going to be maybe 10-15% of the people that use it. So of 150,000 people, only 10 to 15% is going to use it. And I think that's stretching it, to say the least. Hardly quality of life that is impactful to the masses or to the overall. Another aspect that was cut was the fire department. You know, one job for the fire department was worth I think somewhere in the neighborhood with salary and benefits around $125,000. So if you cut one job from the fire department, you take the money that was not earmarked for the streets, you take the jobs, which were 19, and that's probably around $500,000 salary and benefits. So right there, you've got $700,000. That's a pretty good chunk of change that you can just whack right off from the bottom line in helping you gain the phrase, we balance the budget. And I'll come back with, but at what cost? We cannot forget that, folks, because when it comes to cutting the balance and at what cost, that affects you and your bottom line. And then in this case, that's public safety. And your bottom line just might be your very life. Something to think about. I urge you to vote for me on May 5th. That's a Saturday. Should be a beautiful day. I'm looking forward to getting up and getting out to the polling stations and hoping that we have a great turnout from our city. We cannot let 4% of the people dictate to the rest what course and what direction the city is going. If you want to complain, I'm all for it. But we need your voice. More importantly, your voice needs to translate into a vote. And yes, I want you to vote for me. Let me make that very clear. But I want you to vote first and foremost, regardless of who it is. That is your God-given right, and I want to make sure that you exercise it. But vote for me, Placidio Rivera, on May 5th. You can look at my website at www.electplacidiorivera.org, or you can look me up on Facebook at Elect Placidio Rivera, and you'll be able to find all kinds of videos that I've put out, information about what I stand for, and what I'm looking to do for our city, both now and in the future. We cannot have just a short-term view of what our city is about. We need to have a long-term view as well. And when we're talking about budgets, we need to make sure that our budget is balanced by means of doing the proper things, not just taking a hatchet and whacking jobs and not caring as to the results and how that does affect our quality of life. I leave it to you on May the 5th. Show up, speak your voice, vote your voice. May 5, Placidio Rivera for City Council. Thank you.